Hi there, and welcome to this session on exam tips from the Academic Skills Team at UWS. My name is Linda Riches, and I'm one of the Academic Skills Advisors at the university. In this short video, I'm going to discuss exams, how best to prepare for them, and where you can get further support. And before we start, I'll just mention that the slides on the video have subsections at the left-hand side, so that you can easily find a particular section if you need to go back and watch it again. This short session is about preparing for exams, including some top tips on performing at your best on the day itself. And you also might want to look at our video on revision tips for some advice on how to work in the run-up to exam day. Exams can be challenging, and it is natural to feel nervous before you go in, but there are several things you can do to prepare as well as possible so that on the day you perform to the best of your ability. Some of these points may seem very obvious, but they can be things we forget in the run-up to an exam or a test. The first thing is really to be exam ready before you go in. So there are some key points that I just wanted to make here that you want to think about just before the day. So try and sleep well ahead of your exam. I know that's easier said than done, but do try and get an early night if you can. If you stay up late trying to cram at the last minute, you'll be exhausted on the day of the exam itself. Also try and eat properly before the exam, just so you don't have an energy slump later on. You might not feel like eating your usual breakfast, but even if you just manage a banana, that could just help keep those energy levels up. You want to be clear-minded during the exam, not just being conscious that you feel hungry. Make sure that you pack everything that you need for the exam. So for example, pens, pencils, a calculator, a ruler, a watch so that you can keep an eye on the time, and some water to keep you refreshed. And the final point there is to know where you're going. So know where the exam is being held and how to get there, and double check that a few days beforehand. It's always good to get there a little early on the day, just so you've got plenty of time. If the exam's online, then the same rules apply. You don't want to log on at the very last minute. Make sure you know how to access the exam, what platform is being used, and importantly, who to contact and how to contact them if you have any problems connecting online. Remember the importance of a positive mindset. So go into the exam determined to give it your best shot. It's much better than not going at all. And if you've put the work in by revising, there's no reason why you cannot do well. Everyone feels nervous. It's really natural to feel that way. But if you go in feeling very negative and convincing yourself you're not going to pass, then the chances are that you won't. Take your time. Now, this is a point that is quite difficult for some students. There's a real temptation to start writing immediately, especially if you see somebody else beside you doing that. But what you really want to do is read and reread the questions before you decide what to answer. So take your time. Take short breaks if you need to when you're writing, and don't rush. So if you write too quickly, that is going to inevitably lead to some errors. So just leave enough time once you've written as well, so that you can read over your answers. Be strategic when you're answering questions. So basically what I mean there is choose which questions you're going to answer and decide how long you're going to take to answer them. Choose your order, so you don't have to answer the questions in the order that they appear on the page, but it might help you to start with the question you're most confident about, because that gives you a bit of confidence to then tackle some of the harder questions. Take time to break down the questions and be certain that you're answering what is asked of you, not what you think you're being asked or what you want to answer. Quality, not quantity, is important in exams. So try not to waffle, try not to just write for the sake of writing. Make sure everything that you write contributes to your answer to that question. Remember that it's a formal exam, so try and use that academic language that you would use in an essay. If you've been asked to include references, then try and do that to the best of your ability as well, and try to follow the format the best you can. Try and be neat when you're writing. Remember that someone's got to read the exam paper, and your answers, so make it easy for them to look at. Try and double space your lines if you can, just so that there's plenty of room for them. And as I said earlier, make sure that you take some time to go back through and reread your answers at the end. Academic Skills Advisors are here to support you, so if you want to chat to us about exam preparation, then do contact us for a one-to-one appointment. You can also explore the Careers and Skills web pages, which have plenty of information for you to read, watch and listen to. And don't forget to listen to A Wee Blether About, our podcast where Academic Skills Advisors chat about a variety of academic skills topics. I hope this has been helpful. Good luck in your exams and thanks for listening.